that was great, Ned. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a lot of questions of you once we get to the interactive portion. A lot of excellent insight and advice. So now we're going to hear from two businesses that have actually done business or is doing business with India, and they're going to share the successes, their challenges, as well as give you advice on how to tap into India for doing business. Our next speaker is someone that I got to know well a few years ago when I was a director on the Ontario Chamber of Commerce board. And he was the chair of the time, and he's a very prominent and influential member of the business community, the community at large, not only in the Indian community, but obviously in the Canadian and Ontario business community. Pradeep Sood is the president and CEO of ExactScribe Inc., a provider of medical, legal, and business transcription services and solutions, taking advantage of an offshore center providing quick turnaround time. Please welcome Pradeep Sood.
I almost thought that everything I was going to say, these guys are already going to say. But what you've heard is really what is India in every which way that has been told to you. I may be contradicting few of the things these guys have spoken, because like Ned said that we may have the roads, but we still have so many pavements. But two things I want to start by telling you that I came to Canada in 1990, and my first job was in Pittsburgh actually. They brought me here and sent me to Pittsburgh. And I used to travel a lot in the US. I've been to, I think, 30 states, selling plastic injection molding parts for a company in Pittsburgh, and professionally a chartered accountant. But anyway, when I was in Midwest, meeting one of the clients, I think it was Maytag if I'm not mistaken, like Irvin said that the person asked him, do they have elephants? How do you go from there? They asked me, and I'm talking about the year 1990, do you still live in igloos in Canada? I just telling you, so let's not, so that's one thing. The other personal experience about the famous Indian headshake, which is, you don't know whether it's a yes or a no. I had the good fortune of putting up a flower growing project, growing flowers, chrysanthemums, in the foothills of Kilimanjaro. And that was in 86, 87, before I came here in 1990. And we tied up with a company out of Netherlands, a company called Fides, which is probably the third largest in the world. And the president came over, and there was his assistant who was my technical partner. And throughout the meeting, I had that habit of doing that. I was still a true Indian. I hadn't turned Canadian, doing yes or no. So he went out and he told this technical guy, he said, did Pradeep say yes? Or he said no. And we almost lost the project, but we finally did. Before I tell you some of our experiences as a company, I do want to make one point which is very critical. When I was on the board, when I was chairing the board of Ontario Chamber of Commerce, and Sheldon was on the board, Sheldon was one of the most active members of our board who brought lots and lots of positive action and some great ideas to the board. He became the president and CEO of Mississauga Port of Trade, and I must admit that this particular initiative and many more that we used to talk about is one of the first guys who have implemented in such a beautiful way across Ontario. So I must just say, Sheldon, you're doing a great job, because it's a challenge to try and convince and to even inform people that how important globalization is and how important participating in this globalization area is important, not just for Canadians, Ontarians, but the whole world. Because what happens anywhere in the world now affects us here, and vice versa. So Sheldon, thank you very much for your leadership. It really means a lot. And I think we should cookie cut something like this to other chambers, because they are not getting anywhere. And this is not only a challenge at Ontario, now it's on the board of Canadian Chamber. We have the same problem there. Nobody wants to look beyond US. People are too relaxed in this area. So anyway, as a business guy, I have 3 small companies which are totally focused on India. 2 are in the IT space and 1 competes with the BDC. Now I cannot talk about that company when I don't want to compete with the BDC and I'm not financing. So, but I'll talk about my medical transcription and outsourcing company, which is in IT services. Basically, these companies, I'm not an IT guy. I'm just a business guy. In 1990, I came to Canada. I was working for a company. In 2001, I decided to go on my own. And I was wondering what to start, and at that time, lots was happening in the US in the IT world with India, but not much was happening from Canada. They were just still talking about it. And I decided to pick what was then known as the lowest fruit on the tree, what was transcription, which was very easy. Everybody and anybody could get into that. Many people told me that you might lose out because there are so many players. But I must admit, I've been there since then, and I've grown fairly significantly. And all my clients are in North America, and all the work is done in India. So fundamentally, I took on this challenge because I believed that there were 3-4 elements which gives you the opportunity. So when you're looking at an opportunity in India, yes, there are a lot of infrastructure. India is spending like $3 trillion on infrastructure. But the real way to look at the opportunities is one, which is the market. And everybody has spoken about it. It's a huge market. And they are literally short of everything. Even if they are number 1 in growing a certain product, they are still short because the population is so high. Even if they have great hotels and lots of them, I believe they're building something like 600,000 rooms. I think it's 600,000 rooms because of the shortage of hotels. So there's always a shortage in India of everything that you can think of. So the market, and because of the huge middle class, there's a great opportunity in that area. But what I really think are the reasons why we want to look at India and take advantage of is one, the time difference. In my business, I'm successful not because I'm cheap or anything of that sort. It's because when everybody's sleeping here, the work is being done there. In medical transcription, whatever work we get today by 6 o'clock, we convert it into Word documents and bring that back by 8:30 in the morning. So when the doctors get back to their hospitals, they already have all their reports. They just sign forward those reports. While here, it has to be done in real time or next day or the day after. That makes it that much difficult. So one thing is, I just need to grab some water. Excuse me. Thank you. So time difference is a very critical area, and one must look at it as something you can take advantage of. The second one is the educated, hardworking, English-speaking workforce. Lots of them. There are over 300 million people under the age of 25. So lots of opportunities to tap into these educated resources in some form or the other, whether it's for manufacturing, whether it's for services or anything. But that's a very educated, good force, hardworking, so you can take advantage of that. So the cost of production, you can take advantage of. And of course, the huge market. Now, if you are selling products or you want to do something like that, you can go to India and do it. Now, one great advantage of manufacturing in India is that not only are you manufacturing for yourself and getting a product at a better cost, but you're also manufacturing for the local market because there's a shortage in the local market. And that's one of the reasons why the Indian economy continues to grow. However, they need to grow at about 10% because of the shortage, because of the 300 million plus people under the age of 25 who need to be employed. But they are growing at much lesser rate. And unfortunately, the last quarter, the global economy or the economic downfall has caught up with them also, and their growth has only been 5.3%, while they need to be at 10% to be able to deliver jobs to everybody. So keeping that in mind, I decided to go into this business because I always believed that the value add that our companies will bring to companies here because of the time difference would always be there, irrespective of what happens. It may change in a format which in transcription has been that voice recognition has become a big thing. And everybody told me again that you'll lose out because once voice recognition comes, your business is going to close. My business grew more than 100% when the voice recognition came in. So it still continues. The time difference advantage is definitely there, and we must try and work around that. Challenges. There are lots of challenges. It's a great opportunity, great thing. There are lots of challenges. And if I've survived so many years, I can assure you, anybody who understands how to deal with these challenges can easily survive. I will tell you the challenges we have because each industry has its own different typical challenge. And it will not be fair for me to say right across the board that these challenges apply to everything. But in my industry, one of the challenges is, okay, a common challenge is everything moves very slowly in India. And that's something, anyone may tell you anything, you don't have to think that things will just move for you. You've got to have a lot of patience, and that's a challenge for the Canadians. The Canadian companies are not used to waiting long for the return to come. However, India is one of those countries, you have to wait, you have to strategize, and you have to plan on the basis of how you want to do. A recent ranking of 183 countries, India ranked 166 for ease in starting business. Okay? However, it ranked 40th in getting credit and 46th in investor protection. Now, what does this tell? I mean, again, don't get scared of these numbers. But what it tells you is, it takes time to get your business started, and people like BDC and all, of course, may cut to the chase and make it a little easier in many ways. And I totally agree with what they said on that. Having a local partner, very critical. Very critical. And having the right partner, even more important. Because many businesses I've seen fail because of this partnership not being structured well. I would rather work hard at the beginning and get the right everything done. Like they say, good documentation make good partnerships, good relationship. It's very, very typical and very critical for the Indian market. So one of the challenges is that when you start business, it's slow. So don't get worried about it. Now this goes right across the board. It's not just for my business. It's right across the board. But understand how things work there, and once you've understood it, you'll see things work. It scares you initially when you see the population, when you see the way things are, but it's not, but to me, that's the opportunity in a way. The other thing you must have heard a lot about is corruption in India. It's a big thing. I mean, corruption is, if I say there is no corruption, that's not true. There is corruption. But 2 points I'd like to make. I think, or rather 3. One, that in India, everybody's talking about it. Everybody is trying to fix that problem. And that's true. It is helping, it is working, it is moving, what I would say, in the right direction. If you don't talk about the problem, it doesn't get fixed. That's happening. Second thing is, corruption is not right across the board. I have never experienced corruption for my business. And I'm telling you sincerely. It is not something that everybody's corrupt there. That's not true. So sometimes when you hear about one case here and that, it scares a lot of people. Don't get scared about it because it's not true. It's true, but it's not true. Again, what Ned said. You have the roads and you have the pavements. So it is true, but it's not true. You can find partners who can take you through or steer you through or partner with you and help you build your business without really having to go through any element of bribery. And you recently heard in Canada 2, 3 large companies have been caught in corruption in India. So even these large companies, and I know of a very, very huge company here in Canada, which went into India, was so upset with everything, withdrew out of India after I think 10, 15 years, then found a strategic partner, and they were going back last year. So I'm making both the points of the partnership and all that. Now in my own business, even though I was born in India, I was educated in India, I have still, I'm telling you, that I still have strategic partners there. Because you can't manage both ends of the thing. I can't manage US here and also keep an eye. One, I won't get sleep because I have to work 24 hours. But the other thing is also there are a lot of little things which happen in India where you need somebody to manage it for you. You can't sit here and manage it, and you can't send a manager there. Typical example of universities here. Universities are not able to find a way to get into India simply because they want to send professors or teachers educated and taught here and ready and learned here. The minute they send, each person costs them $250,000. The whole project falls apart. You need a local partner who's on local salaries, local situation to make it economically viable. And I have, in spite of there, I have local partners. I have over 250 people working for me there. And I'm telling you, it helps. But yes, finding the right one is very, very critical. The other one is retention of labor. That's a very big challenge in India. The challenge arises from the fact that the salaries are pretty low. So if they find another company, especially in the IT industry, if they find another company offering them something more, they will move. So whenever you're thinking of putting something, keep in mind that you have to keep your ears closely to the ground when it comes to labor. It's not the abundance of labor, it's the cost of labor which is important. Every time you train somebody into your culture, into your way of working, and then you tell the guy he leaves you, your cost doubles because you're not going to train another guy into the whole system. So keep in mind, whatever you plan, whichever way you look, that, and now it's not, again, not common to all industries, but definitely labor retention is a problem in India, and also finding the right person is a problem in India. I found that because a shortage of jobs and all, a lot of people will come to you, they'll negotiate a salary and everything with you, and then they'll take your offer to the existing person and give their salary up with that company only, and you go through the whole exercise. So you've got to be, so the abundance of labor doesn't mean that there are people just standing outside your door to just walk in and you will get a guy of your choice. Now that's a challenge in my industry. Okay, now new thing which I started, which is again a challenge for me and for us, is it's becoming more and more common for people to work from home. They don't want to come to the office to work, especially where they're doing some development work and all, which can happen from the house. They don't want to come to work because it saves them money. They can live with one car, they can look after the children. So they very commonly, either husband and wife would like to work in the same office, or one would like to work from home. That's a challenge in our industry right now, because what happens is that because of security and information laws and all that, we cannot allow that. I mean, though it doesn't make sense, because in North America we are allowed to work from home, and I don't see any difference in working in India. But I've never been able to convince my clients why here and why not there. But that's another thing which is changing a lot. Next, I'll quickly tell you about the resources. Ned mentioned about the different offices and all that stuff. But typically, once you found a partner, still the resources you want to work, you must have a good lawyer and a good accountant. You need that right from day one virtually, whether you like it or not, because everything has to be properly done. So when you look at a partner, you're looking at a partner not just working in your business, but you also need somebody like a lawyer. So from day one, you're not doing anything wrong under the Income Tax Act and all the legal system of India, because if you do something wrong, it becomes bigger than what it is. So you've got to be cautious about it right from day one. The other thing is that, like the Canadian High Commission, I know more about the Ontario piece. They've got offices dedicated to Ontario companies in Delhi and in Mumbai. And that's a very good resource because they take you into the right people. And of course, with BDC and anybody else who's in this space can also be very important partners. In closing, I would just like to say that today, Canada, there was a time, there was a talk about immigrants and everybody needing Canada and all that stuff. The dynamics have totally changed. Frankly, today, Canada needs India, not India needs Canada. It's changed a lot. It's true. India used to woo the immigrant population across the world, and they used to try and convince us to send money back to India and things like that at various forums. Today they've got so much money that they are putting tax laws in place which deters us from taking money into India. So I'm just trying to tell you, like as you probably know that we are not allowed to buy land in India, because they say everybody outside can just buy all the land and the prices will shoot up and they'll do nothing with the land, they'll just sit on it till the prices go up. So they have laws not to allow you to buy land. So those kind of rules coming in. But for any corporation to call itself global, they've got to have an India strategy. They cannot sit in Canada and feel things will grow. And the last recession in which US got hit so badly, we suffered like anything in Canada. The impact of that, we may still take time to come. But really, I strongly suggest you must look at India. You must look at how you can do anything. Even the smallest of business can become big in the context of the two economies. And one last example I'll give you is when Nano car was being manufactured by Tatas, they were looking for a certain part from a supplier in Ontario. And the price of that was so high that they could not have delivered the car at $2,500 had they bought it from this guy. So they sat down with him and told him that, look, we need this part. In the whole scheme of $2,500, this part should cost us so many dollars, then only it makes sense. Can you do it or you can't? And they did do it, and Nano does use that part. So I'm just saying, sometimes we sit here and we are so complacent with what's happening in our lives, but really we need to get out and look outside. Thank you very much.